Your person texted me.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. And a lot of misspellings.
Episode 5. We are here. We are here for episode 5. Everyone knows this already. We're probably popular now. Probably not. So we're going to start this one off. You know what? I have us going with this first, but knowing you two, I'm going to put it in the middle. Because it's going to be a lot of talking. Eric, you're probably going to do a play-by-play of every one of those wrestlers. We're going to start this one off with our Tag Team Mount Rushmore.
So that's 4 teams.
That's 4. 4.
Okay.
If you have another person, you can do a honorable mention on the 5th, if you like. All right, it's up in the air. Whoever wants to grab it.
All right. Well, I'm not going to rank them because it's a Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, you don't have to rank.
Yeah. But the Dudleys are on there for certain because they had great runs in pretty much every company they ever worked in.
Yes.
Even TNA, when they were Team 3D, Brother Ray and Brother Devon, they were great. So the Dudleys. God, I'm gonna sound like so stereotypical here, but the Hardys and ENC are on there for me too. Like those 3 on my personal Mount Rushmore. Those 3 are on there. And it kind of speaks for itself. But yeah, the TLC match at WrestleMania 17 it's in my top 10 favorite matches, I think. And then the last team to fill it out. Oh boy, I might catch some heat for this one because it's a TNA tag team, but I loved America's Most Wanted.
A lot of people did.
Okay, yeah.
A lot of people did.
Chris Harris and James Storm.
Not gonna hate on you
They
for that.
They had a nice run from like 2006 to 2009 that I love their gimmick. Just they're basically like the APA, but they're just 2 dudes who like to drink beer and kick ass, and they were cool. I loved it. Loved
Nice.
America's Most Wanted. That's my Mount Rushmore.
That is your Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with my Mount Rushmore, and I'm gonna have an honorable mention.
I didn't know we could do honorable.
I said it. I said you could do it. You have an honorable
I
mention.
wasn't listening, apparently.
I'm gonna go with the Rockers as my
course.
honorable mention.
Yeah.
They can't make it onto the Mount Rushmore because they've never won gold. They've won it once, but it was not taped.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
So it's
story.
like it was given back to the
It was like when Pat Patterson won the Intercontinental title at a
Yeah.
tournament
Yeah,
in Brazil.
yeah.
Quote, unquote.
That was the real screw job because the Hart Foundation got it back. Now for my other tag team on the Mount Rushmore, it would be the Harlem Heat.
Love it.
Harlem Heat, 10-time tag title winners.
Just WCW though, right?
Just WCW. That is correct. Only WCW. That's Stevie Ray and Booker T.
Do you guys have any memory of this? There was a dropped angle where they were going to bring Stevie Ray into the WWE in like 2002 or 2003.
No.
Booker T got a note in the locker room that said, "I remember." And it was supposed to be the beginning of them bringing in Stevie Ray for a feud with Booker T.
Oh.
And then they dropped it the week after that and never brought it up again.
Why did they drop it?
I don't know.
Stevie Ray never.
Stevie Ray never came back. After
done.
WCW.
Well, he was older.
Yeah.
He was wrestling before Booker T, I think. So maybe his body was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
My other tag team for my Mount Rushmore, the Dudley Boys.
Yeah.
Dudley Boys. Like you said, they went to every promotion and they killed it. 21 tag titles altogether for all of that.
And a tag team that both of them can talk.
Correct.
Which is not a common trait that you see in tag teams. where
Testify.
Both of them can talk on the microphone.
And a fun little note: if you ever saw Devon Dudley sell in ECW, and he did this in WWE too,
Like the shakes?
Yeah, he got
Yes.
he got that from Hulk Hogan. because Hulk Hogan's his favorite wrestler.
Okay.
So he would sell like Hulk Hogan. If you remember Hulk Hogan when he
Yeah,
was
well, Hulk's
getting beat up by the monster, when, Hogan would do that stuff in the corner while Big Boss Man would hit him with the nightsticks.
Devon selling with the spasms is an all-time sell.
You remember when they had that stupid gimmick in WWE when Bubba had to stutter?
That was
they did that in ECW too.
Yeah.
It's like I hated it though.
Yeah, that was when they wore the tie-dye and everything.
Yeah.
The best one was with The Rock though.
Yeah.
When he was like, we are
I feel like they did that whole thing so they can do that, and then they're like, okay, well, all right, now
That's
we
it.
can forget
the whole stutter.
Yeah.
My other Mount Rushmore tag team would be the Steiner brothers.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then the one that I consider one of the tops is the Legion of Doom,
Sure.
Animal and Hawk.
Yeah.
That's my Mount Rushmore.
All right. Mine, I'm going to say Dudley Boys. I'm just going to get out of the way. Dudley Boys, my favorite tag team of all time. Their ECW run was my favorite.
We have that in common.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, look at that. Yeah. I'm going to throw one out there. I think it's a new tag team that needs to be discussed to be on Mount Rushmore, and I want to be one of the first voices to put them out there, and it's the Briscoe brothers from Ring of Honor. Just banger after banger after banger. Some of the greatest tag matches of all time. Some of the best single matches of all time. Just so much and like such a tragic ending. Everything about the Briscoe brothers. If you're going to talk Mount Rushmore, maybe in 10 years from now, I want to be the first ballot for them now.
I think we are probably 20 years away from what they could do a Briscoe brothers movie like in the style of the Iron Claw that would be fucking awesome.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea, to be honest. Yeah. Not to, Road Warriors, Legion of Doom, how can you deny them? I think they were the first tag team to make just as much as the world champions. Not together, like each, making just as much as the world champion in NWA, WCW in the 80s. Changed to tag team wrestling. Part of that whole steroid boom, ass kicking, the Ozzy Osbourne entrance song, everything about it, groundbreaking, and, to this day influences professional wrestling. And last but not least, my last one, very, very hard. So I'm going to say both of them, and you guys can choose which one's honorable mention and which one goes on. Hart Foundation or the Steiner Brothers?
I mean,
Hart Foundation.
I have Steiner
He's
brothers
got
on
Steiner.
mine.
I would say the Hart
Foundation.
Foundation. Yeah, I would rank the Hart Foundation.
Okay.
Wow.
I would
I
go
would,
with the
yeah.
Steiners on that.
But I love the Steiners.
Yeah.
I love the Steiners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
if you had to
I want to know
choose.
why. I want to know why. Why would you go with the Hart Foundation?
Because when I think of the Steiners, I don't love Rick Steiner.
Okay.
I love Scott Steiner.
Okay.
I like them a lot as a tag team. Rick, I don't
Why
care
don't
about.
you
as a
Rick
Love
Steiner?
Jim Neidhart? Is that where you're flying?
Yes, I love Jim Neidhart, of course. I told you I'm not. I said in a past episode, not that hot on Bulldog, but the rest of the Hart Foundation, great.
So, what's your reasoning?
Really? What
Yeah,
Steiner
yeah.
brothers? I consider a true tag team because they had tag team moves.
Yes,
You
they
know,
do.
their
That's a good
moves
argument.
complemented each other to be a tag team. I think the Hart Foundation. Listen, they're great technical guys, but they're without being even a tag team. They're all great wrestlers, but I just never felt like they have the tag team component. It was just put together because they all had they had the last name or they were family.
Yeah. Okay.
Fair enough.
Oh, wait, so now who would you pick then?
Out of those two, after hearing what you're saying, I'm going to go with the Steiner brothers, I think. Just because I was leading Steiners anyway.
It worked. I got him to pick someone who's not Bret Hart.
Well, and my thing is the Steiner brothers had the success in Japan. That the Hart Foundation only had success in WWF. And I think to be on a Mount Rushmore, there needs to be success at least somewhere else besides the place you had success in. That's one of my
that's
rules.
fair.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, all right, moving on.
Wow. And so Hart Foundation is your honorable mention.
Yeah.
You still have an honorable mention?
Want to throw one in there? Want to put Hart Foundation on there? No, they were on your.
Were they on your list?
No, I'm gonna go with honorable mention Head Cheese, Al Snow, and Steve Blackman.
Good. So, yeah, let's do it.
All right.
That was a deep cut.
So, all right, guys. You two are going to be ready for this one. Your top 5 hardcore wrestlers. Start off with number 5 and go all the way up.
Okay.
Should I go first?
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
sure,
no.
yeah.
I think you should go last, Eric, because
I got
this is
a lot.
kind of
Oh, yeah. He's going to go play by play. He's going to, yeah.
So I guess I'll go first. On number 5, the Sandman. I love the Sandman. He's technically a horrific wrestler. He's a brawler. He's a fighter. I don't think. What did he do? The legs, like the side Russian leg sweep with the cane.
Leg
that was
drop. The
maybe he probably has 3 or 4 moves, but it doesn't matter because that's no one wants to see the Sandman wrestle. We want to see him swing the cane, drink beer, and bleed. Like, this is what we want, and this is what he does, and this is what he did, and that's why he's one of the best to ever do it, because it's so simple, and it's so easy,
Right.
and it just worked.
And makes himself bleed.
Dude,
Yes.
I gotta tell you, I think Sandman is one of the most realistic wrestlers because he looks like a drunk fighting you at all times.
He is a
Right, he is a
Like,
drunk
he's not
fighting you.
wrestling.
Yes.
He's drunk fighting you.
He's-
You know, if you watch his matches with Sabu, it's like there's no one that wrestles like Sandman before Sandman or after Sandman. No one has that drunken, asshole
That's
style.
a lot of the charm of the original ECWs.
Right.
So many of those guys were like,
One of them.
they were those guys
Yeah.
too. They were just turned up to 11 when the cameras were
Yeah.
on, but it's
Yeah.
not out of the question that you walk over to the Super 8 in Rahway right now,
Yeah.
and Sandman might be there right
For
now.
real.
Like, if I drive, it's 5 minutes from here.
Yeah.
We could go see. He might be outside.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Sandman, number 5. Number 4 is going to be Sabu. Recently retired.
Great one.
Another guy who just, it really doesn't even need to be discussed
Yeah.
because it's just, he was who he was,
Yeah.
and who he was perfect. Even, like, botching moves was almost part of Sabu's character, and you waited for every time he was going to slip on a chair or fall off the ropes and get back up and doing it because but it all made sense in the psychology of the match because this was who Sabu was, and this is what he did, and this was how he, put his offense out there. And his offense was just, how do I damage someone with a table, with a chair?
And interesting enough, Sabu said in an interview that recently that some of those botches were on purpose. And in fact, he said a lot of them because it was like it was his way of like providing the reversal for his opponent. Instead of like, I reversed the headlock or whatever, it's like I'm just going to run to the top rope, slip, and crotch myself. And if you think of his career, how many times did this guy crotch himself? If I crotched myself that many times, I'm like, I'm not doing this fucking move anymore, guys. So if you think about it, I was like, oh, that's like
Sabu.
That's like a genius way of thinking about like wrestling. It's like everyone knows I'm a daredevil. A daredevil has to mess up. I don't know. I always thought that. I thought that was added to his genius.
Jeez.
No, it's interesting. Number 3, Terry Funk. Obviously, if you watch ECW, Terry Funk is synonymous with ECW. He's synonymous with blood in wrestling.
Blood.
He's synonymous with violence. Because I think we talked about the Terry Funk punches. They look the best because they're real punches. Terry Funk, one of the best all time. Number 2. It's kind of a controversial pick, maybe, but I love Balls Mahoney.
Oh, I do
I'm
too.
a big Balls Mahoney
do
fan.
too, yeah.
Love Balls Mahoney.
I always wanted more from his career.
He's another guy
Yeah.
who, if Balls was still with us today, I have no doubt he'd be over at the Super 8 in Rahway right now. No doubt in my mind.
Yeah, he probably owes them money to this day.
He probably does. They're looking for him. And number 1, I think he could have called this one. It's Mick Foley.
Yeah,
It's Mick Foley, the king of the death match.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Nobody, I got to admit, like, I don't think I've seen a ton of the death matches that Foley did, but like, there's almost no cooler image in wrestling than a guy covered in blood standing in a barbed wire ring holding up a trophy.
yeah,
There's something about a trophy opposed to a belt
yeah.
that, like,
It feels like you've been through a lot to hold the trophy.
Yeah, because you're not carrying that when you show a show. That's going on a mantle in your fucking house.
Did you ever
right?
watch the deathmatch finals where he won that?
Is it with the exploding barbed wire?
Terry Funk.
Yes, I have seen that.
Okay,
yeah.
and the match just like ends weirdly because they're so fucked up and they just call it because they're just like, yeah, just I'm hitting you now. It's over. It's kind of like how Terry Funk's Sabu barbed wire ended.
Yes.
It's just like we're just done.
That's enough.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Go ahead,
Nice. All right, we're gonna do mines now. I did a little writing with this. So with my number 5 is the homicidal, the suicidal, the genocidal Sabu. So I went with Sabu for that one. Here's a fun fact. He taped his own torn bicep mid-match to keep going.
Yeah, well, that was.
There was the barbed wire match.
Yeah.
with Terry Funk.
And then my number 4 is Terry Funk.
Yeah.
Terry Funk is my number 4. He wrestled through 6 decades.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Terry
That's
Funk.
wild.
It is so
6
funny if you go and watch
decades.
Beyond the Mat because his retirement is in 1997 and he wrestled for like 25 years.
Yeah.
It's like, this guy's done. Like, in the next 4 years, he might be done.
Him and his brother wrestled on WrestleMania 1 or 2, and I just watched it, and it's pretty fucking good.
Really?
It's pretty
really
good. Yeah,
are?
the Funk brothers. Yeah, it's pretty good. Or they call them the Haas brothers, I think. I could be. I'm getting something wrong about that, but they're definitely on it. It's
Gotta
good.
look that up. My number 3 is Mick Foley.
Yeah.
Cactus Jack, Mick Foley. There's enough said about him. Everybody knows about Mick Foley. And then I was looking up more hardcore wrestlers. And you gotta pay respect to Japan.
Yeah.
Japan has some of the most craziest hardcore wrestler. And my number 2 is Onita. You know,
That's the guy.
That's Moxley's boy. That's the inspiration for Moxley's whole
with the whole
song.
Yeah.
Jeez.
FMW.
Yeah, he's crazy. There's one where he jumped into a lake while wrestling, and the water was contaminated, and he suffered several severe internal injuries.
that one.
Yeah,
I don't know that one. That sounds about right.
it was a jungle death match with Tiger Jeet.
Yep.
Great.
And my number 1 would be Kasai,
Jun Kasai.
Jun Kasai.
Yeah.
Here's one thing about you've seen his photos of him with the rose and like the blood coming down his face and all that stuff. Like that's one of the most insane guys there is. So that's my
All right.
top 5.
You guys are making me rethink my top 5 just because a lot of the same names came up.
We could always have the same.
Yeah, I know, but I'm gonna open up with New Jack.
Of course.
Yeah.
I think New Jack deserves to be heard. New Jack jumped off of very high things for a very long time. No one's done that many times. Mick Foley jumped off of one high thing once
And
made his career.
New Jack made no
He didn't
attempt.
jump off it. He got thrown off.
New Jack made no attempt when he jumped off things to brace for any kind of landing.
Right.
It was he just flew in the same position he was in. It's graceful, but it's not graceful at all. It's so great.
Yeah.
I can watch New Jack fall off of shit all day.
Number 4, I'm going to go with Nick Gage, the king of the deathmatch. Has been the king of the deathmatch in the early 2000s. I've watched him win deathmatch tournament after deathmatch tournament. He was in the, what I think was called, was a 100 light tube match or a 1,000 light tube match where they surround the ring in light tubes against the wife beater. I've watched him, and not only is Nick Gage the king of the deathmatch, but a lot of deathmatch guys aren't like actually good wrestlers. There are a lot of kick, punch, throw things at people guys. But Nick Gage can wrestle. His favorite wrestler is actually a really good junior heavyweight in Japan called Shinjiro Otani, who wrestled, was in J Cup and all that stuff. So you kind of see he's trying to do cool things with deathmatch wrestling, which is one of the reasons why he became so popular. And the fact that he robbed the bank and went to jail for 8 years and came back and then won a deathmatch tournament. In fact, came back, they made a tournament called the Nick Gage Invitational Deathmatch Tournament, and then he got in trouble with his parole officer, got sent back to jail, and missed his own return tournament.
He should have broke out of jail and came to the
And then I went to the deathmatch tournament. I was there when he got cut so bad in his armpit that they had a helicopter in send a helicopter in and fly him out on the stretcher and flying over the fans
That is
and
crazy.
leaving the thing. It was crazy. They thought he was going to die, and Moxley ran out and replaced him that night. So King of the Death Match, he needs to be there. Another personal favorite of mine is, sorry, I just touched the mic, Abdullah the Butcher. I have to throw an old guy on there. I know we already said Terry Funk and all that good stuff, but Abdullah the Butcher, one of the original creators of the idea of hardcore wrestling, 70s, the Fork. I'm a big. You're gonna hear this later. I'm a big fan of the Fork in hardcore wrestling. So is that 3? Number 4. I'm gonna go Sabu. I just love Sabu. I'm a big fan, and I said this about the Sandman. I'm a big fan of wrestlers that are so unique that other wrestlers cannot copy them. And Sabu is one of those wrestlers. And so is the Sandman. And in certain ways, so is Mick Foley. Like these guys, like that style is so specific. So like if you just had an outline of Sabu wrestling, you would know it's Sabu. If you had Daniel Bryan, Chris Benoit, Dynamite Kid, you'd be like, I don't know. It kind of you could say if you put Dolph Ziggler and Kurt Hennig and just the outline, you'd be like, who's who? But like with Sabu, Sabu is just so unique. And he does things that no one else does. And number one,
before.
What happened?
I never heard Dolph Ziggler and Kurt Hennig.
Really? As soon as I saw Dolph Ziggler, I was like, oh, you love Kurt Hennig, obviously.
Yeah, with the hair, yeah.
And the way he bumps and stuff. But my number 1 is clearly Mick Foley. King of, the original King of the Death Match. And it's not even about the death match with the weapons. It's just bumping. I've never seen anyone take bumps that way. Last year, I actually went back and I asked AI, give me the top 25 best Mick Foley matches, and I went back and I rewatched them all, and I can truly say, what an artist, what a guy that you can't replicate those style of matches. His matches with the Nasty Boys, he took a shovel shot to the head that I've never seen before. I've never seen a man take a metal shovel to the head so hard in pro wrestling. When you think of a shovel shot to the head, you're thinking of so many worked, safe shots to the head. Mick Foley took such a hard shot. I had to rewind it and like record it on my phone and then play it back to myself. But Mick Foley. Now, honorable mention, the Necro Butcher.
This guy. Honorable mentions over here.
Yeah, honorable mention. I gotta say, in fact, I gotta get you guys to watch Necro Butcher versus Zandig in a barbed wire match, and Necro Butcher versus Samoa Joe.
Zandig, I forgot about.
I want to get you guys.
Maybe we should all forget about Zandig.
No, watch Zandig versus Necro Butcher barbed wire match. Craziest barbed wire match you've ever seen in your life.
I like Necro Butcher. I like any hillbilly guy who wrestles with no shoes on, no socks,
in a ring covered in glass. Yeah,
dude.
Necro Butcher
is as real as they come.
Yes,
like he is his gimmick. Which, by the way, brings me back. I wanted to ask you, wife beater. What's his gimmick?
Well, he played a man that wore blue jeans.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was like an IRS thing or but okay.
No. He came out in blue jeans and weird name.
He sounds like a lovely guy.
He named himself after an article of clothing.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Jeez. Following that with your top 5 hardcore wrestlers, what are your top 5 hardcore weapons?
Can I go first on that one?
Sure, go ahead.
Just so we can snake it.
Yeah.
Number 5, the cinder block. I know it's fairly new, but I remember seeing the cinder block being used for the first time on some deathmatch shows and being like, holy, and that was not they don't have the money for a prop cinder block on those shows. So I don't know what they're doing in AEW sometimes, but on those shows, that was some real cinder blocky stuff. And
cinder blocky.
And the guys taking cinder blocks like chair shots. It was wild. And then I saw in AEW some guy took a cop killer or what's that? The hurricane.
Oh, vertebraker.
Yeah, on a cinder block. I was like, God damn,
that's great.
Yeah. All right.
They build homes with those things. Buildings.
Yeah. The fire table because of the Dudley Boys.
Oh yeah.
Big fan of the fire table. Any fire spot really, I'm a big fan of. The fork, which I mentioned before. Homicide was a big fan of the fork. Mm-hmm. I wish someone in WWE would bring back the fork. I think it's a cool thing.
Yeah.
The old school barbed wire. I was gonna say barbed wire bat, but the truth is, I just like barbed wire. I like barbed wire matches
on its own.
Yeah, no rope barbed wire
Sure.
matches are like one of my favorite gimmick matches. Big fan of the barbed wire. Number one, all time, no questions asked. Very specific, not the kendo stick, the Singapore cane from the Sandman. The Singapore cane.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a difference.
ECW Singapore cane. Metallica and Chris Sandman comes in, pop, 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 just popping everyone in the crowd. You know, maybe breaking the cane, getting a new one somehow. You know, cracking Sabu, breaking Sabu's jaw, all that good stuff. Singapore cane is probably my favorite weapon to watch.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, for my top 5 hardcore weapons, I like the simplicity of these weapons, and my list is very simple.
Okay.
Number 5 is the shopping cart. I love the shopping cart because you can fill it up with a bunch of stuff. You can ram it into a guy. You know, you can use it to get down the ramp faster if you wanted, jumping into it. Who was the one where they put another wrestler in the shopping cart and shoved them down the ramp?
Was that Raven went in the shopping
don't
cart?
recall.
I think Raven. Maybe was it the triple threat at WrestleMania 17 with him, Big Show, and Kane? I feel like he was in the shopping cart at
And
one
they just
point.
pushed them down, right?
Yeah.
I gotta look back at that.
Yeah.
My
Or
number
maybe
4,
Crash Holly or something.
Crash Holly. Oh,
He used to
jeez.
bring it out.
Number 4 is the good old 2x4.
Sure.
You know, cinder blocks, 2x4s. You know, you build homes with these things. Yes, Hacksaw Jim Dugan. And then number 3 is going to be not the Singapore, but the kendo stick.
Okay.
I just love the sound of a kendo stick.
Sure.
And number 2 is the good old trusty trash can.
Okay.
You know, you could hit people with it. You could put them on top of it. You can put them in it. I think my favorite person using a trash can would be Shane.
Yeah.
Just putting it at the end of the ring and jumping from the other end. And then number 1 is the folding chair.
Oh yeah, classic.
Classic.
Yeah, it's hard to beat.
You know?
I mean,
So that's my top 5.
all right. Well, I'm going to go number 5, the cookie sheet, which I think we were just saying. I want to say Crash Holly is the one who brought the cookie sheet like into play. You know, when he used to bring out all the weapons before his matches. I'm gonna go number 4 with thumbtacks. Love when thumbtacks are introduced. You know, I mean, there's a lot of iconic hardcore matches that feature thumbtacks, obviously, and you know, the first thing that comes to mind when you mention thumbtacks in wrestling to me is the Hell in a Cell with Taker and Foley. You know, number 3, and this is one that it depends how it is used, but glass. Okay, and I'll point to you one that I like, and the Ian Rotten Axel Rotten Taipei Death Match.
That's a good one.
With the taped fist with glass. That's such a
Great
a
idea.
unique
Yeah.
idea.
They
for
don't
a
do that a
match.
lot.
The match itself is okay. Yeah, but just seeing them get the nicks all over their head with the blood, it was like, holy shit, this is a cool idea. Number 2, I'm gonna go flaming table. I'm also a big flaming table. There's nothing like when that, you know, it's always the valet or something comes out and does the gas on it, and you're just like, oh, here we fucking go.
Yeah.
It's
time.
usually
Very important
it's usually
job.
gonna backfire
Yeah.
as well, which is, you know, the best part. And then I'm gonna go number 1. Anything wrapped in barbed wire, an object, a bat, a sledgehammer, a chair. I like when the weapon is wrapped in barbed wire. Adds to the absurdity of the whole thing, because who was it that spent that time wrapping the barbed wire and then placing
poor
it
PA.
under a ring for something? Yeah, the poor PA who probably didn't even have gloves on while he was doing
Cutting
it.
their fingers
He was all
off.
fucking bloody when he's done. Yeah, so anything
jeez.
wrapped in barbed wire, it's nice.
It is nice.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. We got this one in the bag.